After 2 years building this house, today marks a turning point. It's the day this structure stops just sitting on the ground and finally starts to root itself. This step is one of the most important in the whole build. The entire sanitation system for the house will be laid out here, guiding all the wastewater and rainwater into tanks. From this point on, we will be able to actually use the water inside the house. The material just arrived, and one of the major jobs I have ever faced in my life was about to start. Here you can see the pipes coming out of the house. They have been in place for a long time, since we poured the foundation. Now it's time to dig them out, clean them up and get them ready to connect to the main sanitation network. I was debating whether to use a smaller 30 by 30 connection box here, but in the end I went with the 60 by 60. It is bigger, which gives me much more room for the pipes and also reduces the chance of blockages and makes future maintenance much easier. Once I marked the box on the ground with spray paint, it was time to start digging, and for that my volunteer steps in. He hasn't been used for a while and felt a little left out, but in the coming weeks we're gonna give him so much work that I'm sure he wished he volunteered in a different channel. Now it's time for the real groundwork, measuring exactly where the trenches will go, marking the path with spray paint, and making sure everything lines up perfectly. We will have two parallel networks running along the front facade of the house. The first trench is about 1.5 meters from the wall and will carry the rainwater collected from the roof and from the perimeter drain that we have around the foundation of the house. Right next to it, a second pipe will collect all the wastewater from the bathrooms, kitchen, showers, toilets, and more. The trench needs to stretch over 33 meters long, and I needed to dig it with a consistent 2.5% slope so the pipes inside can carry the water efficiently once installed. It was the end of the summer and the temperatures were soaring over 40 degrees Celsius. Working out here was very brutal. The heat was so intense that the camera kept shutting off, but doing this job meant being able to soon move into the house, since being able to use water inside a house is a must to be able to actually live in it, and I really had no choice to do it now, since if I waited until autumn, the rains will arrive, making this job virtually impossible to do with all the mud that we have in the ground. So this had to be done now, even with the heat, and I had to do it carefully and precisely. With my trusty volunteer, we slowly made progress, cutting into the earth and shaping the trenches that will house the pipes carrying water away from the house. This is how it looked the next day. I managed to get a big chunk done in just one day. I even dug a small trench to finally cover this electrical conduit that has been sticking out here since, 2 years since we started the build, and I really wanted to hide it finally. It is here because it will bring power from the house to the future swimming pool, which we will be building in the channel once the house is finished. If I start from the beginning, here is the first connection box. Coming from the sink in the workshop, it continues all the way to this second box, where we have the pipes coming from the powder room, both from the toilet and the sink. And right here is the first box for the rainwater system. These two pipes come down from the roof, running inside the walls and underneath the foundation. So all the water hitting the east side of the roof of the house will collect inside this box. If you are curious to know how we did that, you can check out the first or second episode of the house build series. After showing you this, I kept digging and changing the point of views. I decided to place the camera inside the house and film the excavator through the windows, so I could test the sound insulation of the walls that we finally finished in the previous episode. And as you can see here, we barely hear the excavator, which is actually an extremely loud machine. I think it's over 100 decibels, and I am working just a couple of meters away from the window. I was not expecting so much sound insulation from the walls, to be honest, and I was very happy when I went to see the images afterwards. After this, I soon realized that filming myself excavating day after day was just not going to work for a video, since it is a very repetitive work, so I stopped filming and focused on the work. A few days later, once all the trenches were dug, I ordered a big truckload of sand. Getting a truck that size backed into our property is getting trickier and trickier by the day. Luckily, this driver was a true master and is able to park in spots you wouldn't believe possible. And here it is, 20 cubic meters of clean sand. And you might be wondering, why all this sand, Pepe? Well, I plan to do this once and once only, and best practice says that the pipes should rest on a bed of clean sand, and then covered and protected by more sand. Sure, you could fill the trenches with the soil that you just dug out, but that soil is full of rocks and clay, which makes it hard to compact evenly, and also a little bit dangerous because you have rocks that might break the pipes once you are compacting. And sand compacts very nicely, layer by layer, filling every nook and cranny, leaving no air pockets that could cause the pipes to sag over time. And plus, since sand has no sharp rocks in it, it reduces the risk of puncturing the pipes. Next, I measured and set the elevation levels for all the boxes. It is a tricky job that I had to do early in the morning before the sun was fully out, or after 5 p.m. like you see here, when the building shade covered the area and I can actually see the laser properly. My laser level isn't great, it was expensive but not great, and I wish I had invested in a professional one at the start of the build. But now it's too late to change that, so I just carry on with the tool I have. The receiver often gives false readings, but they are usually so obviously wrong, like 20 centimeters wrong, that I can catch the mistake quickly. Basically what I'm doing here is making sure that from box to box there is a constant inclination of 2.5%, so the wastewater is evacuated properly. I will personally explain how I do this part in a minute, because trying to explain it here in the voiceover is just too complicated. Once the box elevations were marked, I needed a solid base for them. I wanted these boxes set in stone, literally. So if once everything is covered, I step on one of them or accidentally drive over one with one of our machines, they wouldn't move. So for that, I use concrete. I mix a few bags of pre-mixed concrete and build solid bases to hold them firmly in place. This week I have been working on the solar structure for the roof. We will have around 17,000 watts worth of solar panels up there once it is done, so I wanted to test different options before committing to a full set. I have been looking for panels that can handle all year conditions because even though we don't really get snow here, winters still bring low sun, cloudy days and plenty of shade from nearby chimneys, and that's exactly why I wanted to test this one, the Renogy 200 watts Shadow Flax anti-shading N-type solar panel. It is the first N-type panel on the market that uses Shadow Flax anti-shading technology, and it is actually Sullivan certified as the world's first rigid solar panel with cell-level shadow management technology, which basically means that it keeps producing power even when parts of it is covered or shaded. So today I'm taking it up to the roof to install it on the new structure, to see how it sits, how the light hits it throughout the day, and to get a feel for the build quality. And first impressions are that it's very easy to handle on your own. It weighs just 9.6 kilograms and it is about 10% smaller than most 200 watt panels. It is, as I said, built around high efficiency N-type cells, up to 25% cell efficiency and 20.7% overall module efficiency, which means that it has better output, less degradation over time and a longer lifespan. And it's very tough. It is IP67 waterproof, it has a 1.2mm reinforced frame, and it is designed to handle everything from -40 degrees to up to 85 degrees. And aesthetically it's also a very good looking panel, fully black and with full black frames. What makes this one stand out is how it performs under partial shade. A normal solar panel basically shuts down when more than 20% of it is shaded. The output actually drops to zero, but the Shadow Flax keeps working. I ran a quick test, first with full sun and then with part of the panel shaded, like it would be with a chimney or a nearby tree. And with 30% of the panel shaded, it still produces 134 watts, which is nearly 60% of its power. So if you have chimneys nearby, or if you live somewhere with snow covering parts of the panels in winter, you still get useful power instead of a complete drop-off. This is how it actually looks already mounted on the roof, and from the specs and the first impressions, this might be the one that we install for our off-grid setup. It is one of the most practical ones that I could find, and especially if you are building for real-world conditions. If you want to check it out, Renogy is running a Black Friday promotion right now, up to 58% off site-wide. Shadow Flax single items up to 26% off before December 3rd. Definitely worth a look if you are planning your own solar system. Alright, I wasn't planning on speaking on this video just because it's very hot. It's like, I don't know, 44 degrees, and I don't feel like, spending more energy in talking to the camera. But I realized that there's a lot of people out there that might be doing this, following what I do, and if I just do it like this, there's no way for me to explain it later in a voiceover. For example, here you can see there is a river there that I have set with the laser. So I know that's the base of one of the boxes. So each box needs to be going down, because you need the slope for the pipe to... Come on, I was just seeing something that I think is a little bit not perfect. So let me change it.
When you are doing the evacuation of a toilet or like a sink, it needs to be 2.5% because I mean, if you make it much steeper, then you lose the effect of the solids going floating in the water, because the water just goes very fast. So the poop and the paper might stay in the pipe, and the water just go through. So you need to put it at 2.5%. Now I'm doing the water from the rain, from the roof, and there you can go a little bit steeper because there is not poop in the water, in the rainwater, hopefully. Regardless, I'm doing 3-4%, not much more. So here I have a river that I already set, and the height of it, the elevation of it, is the base of this box. Okay, and now what I'm gonna do is I need to measure from that river all the way to the other box, and it says 8 meters. 2.5% means that it drops 2.5 meters in 100 meters. So in 100 meters of pipe, that pipe will go down 2.5 meters. So if I go and I say 8 meters multiplied by 2.5 divided by 100 meters, it gives me 0.20 meters. So that means that that box needs to go down 20 centimeters below this one, and that will have a 2.5%. So here the laser set here. Now what I do is I go and I measure 20 centimeters, and now I move the receiver all the way up to that pencil mark, and now when the receiver connects with the laser, that will be 20 centimeters below this box. So this is where the next box is going to be. And now if I put the laser here, wherever the laser tells me that is level, that means that it's 20 centimeters below the other one. Now I will set a concrete base here, and I will make sure to leave this river, the top of it, flush to the top of the base. And when I set the box, this box and that box are at 2.5% inclination.
With the boxes already set in place and everything looking good, it was time to actually do the connections. First, I focused on connecting the pipes coming out the house to the connection boxes. This part was straightforward, but still needed precision to make sure everything fits tight and that the slope is actually correct. I am using the pipes that are widely available here in Portugal that have a female already built in the pipe and uses a rubber seal to tightly connect to the male on the other pipe. At the beginning I kinda hated this system, to be honest, but I have started to like it more and more during this build. It is easy to use and actually incredibly watertight. now I was ready to start connecting box to box. Unfortunately, when digging with the excavator, I miscalculated the width of the trench and made it a bit too narrow. So I had to use my hammer drill to widen the trench where the pipes will go. To make sure I knew exactly where to go, I stretched a red string along the planned path of the pipe, and that string was actually a big help since it showed me exactly where the pipe had to run and how far I needed to expand the trench. I widened the trench as much as necessary, avoiding overdoing it, but making sure there was enough space for the pipes.
You can see the river here. So I set this top of the concrete right on top of the river. Now, because I'm gonna push the box a little bit in, I'm gonna just hammer the river like a half an inch inside.
This week we also received the paint for the house. After a lot of research, we found this product from Bezier, an eco-friendly, zero VOCs paint that is very durable, washable and very high quality. The Beta excellent. There is really nothing close to it in the market, or at least I couldn't find it, and we were very excited to receive the paint of the house already. I mean, it is just crazy that we are ordering the paint already. Bezier is a premium Spanish brand, and it feels great that the final layer of the house, the one that we actually, will touch and live with, is Spanish, just like us. Now it was time for the heavy duty stuff. These orange 200mm reinforced pipes. We choose these thick reinforced pipes because they can withstand huge amounts of pressure from the soil above or even from driving over them without being damaged. And we went for a big section, 200mm, which will handle large volumes of rainwater and wastewater running through them. It might be a little bit of an overkill if I'm being honest. I could have gone for 150 or 120 if I'm being honest. But price-wise was not a big difference, maybe 20% more expensive, and I can rest assured that the sanitation system is properly done for our lifetime. To cut circles in each PVC connection box so the pipes will fit perfectly. I did not want to have a huge hole around the pipes to seal later, so I tried to cut out the circles as close as possible to the exterior diameter of the pipes. And to be honest, after days of working the ground, with a type of job that I don't really enjoy because it's messy, this type of attention to detail job was a breath of fresh air for me, and I enjoyed it very much. With the help of my volunteer, I prepare a smooth sand base inside the trench, and as I mentioned, it is crucial to protect the pipes and avoid any gaps that could cause them to sag or break later. Connecting these pipes turned to be much harder than I expected. I tried to do it alone first, using Vaseline to help slide the pipe, but they didn't budge. They were way too long, way too heavy, and the connection was way too tight to be able to do it alone. Also, my shoulders were hurting very much as around that time I injured both of my shoulders working. So every push I gave it, it felt like sharp knives were stabbing my shoulders, and I was hurting a little bit. And that's when I called Eugenia for help. She stayed to help me fill all the gaps with sand, making sure everything was solid and properly supported, and connecting all the pipes. Without her, this job would have taken way longer, and probably I wouldn't have been able to actually connect the pipes, if I'm being honest.
se ha movido allí. ¡Está entrando! ¡Está entrando! ¡Ah, ha entrado! ¿Ha entrado?
By the way, Aspen is not back, unfortunately, even if you see him here. These are the last images we have from him. I think, we filmed so many videos that I don't remember everything we filmed. And I didn't know that he was in these videos, so it made my day to see him again when I was editing this. The guy just stayed with us until we finished this job and made sure we could use water inside the house before leaving. By the end of the day, I noticed that the rainwater pipes coming from the roof had collected a lot of dirt from being buried underground for so long. Every time it rained during all these past months, the dirt mixed with the water covered the end of the pipes and slowly seeped all the dirt inside the pipe. I was about to connect the pipes, thinking they were clean, when I decided to look inside the pipe with a flashlight, being Pepe, to make sure everything was clean and nice. And that's when I saw that they were actually almost fully clogged. So before connecting everything, I decided to clean all of them thoroughly with a pressure washer and a special attachment on the end with a clog clearing nozzle that connects to the pressure washer. I blasted water through the pipes over and over until the water running out was perfectly clean. You can see here how much dirt I got out. It was just incredible, man. I couldn't believe it, probably kilograms of dirt. It took me a whole afternoon, 5 hours of dirty job, and I'm pretty sure Eugenia wasn't going to be happy when she saw how filthy my shirt got, but I think it was worth it.
Today we finished installing all the orange pipes. They are big pipes, 200 millimeters diameter. We decided to run the pipe continuous in a few boxes, in all the boxes that we could, for the black water. So every connection that has a sink, the pipe continues through, as you can see. It doesn't stop. And then I will cut out just the top, so I will leave the bottom continuous, so all the water that comes in, all the water and the poop and papers and whatever, everything that goes to the septic tank can go floating over there, and I don't have to be worried about making a bed for it, making a concrete bed. I will do it anyways, but it's better to have the things floating. I didn't do that yesterday for the rainwater, you can see, mainly because I didn't think about it. It's something that came up while doing the job. I was like, hey, if I do this, it's much better later for making sure that the water continues through and it's not stopped. Where it's cut, I will make a bed with concrete and make it continuous, but it won't be as smooth as the actual pipe. So making it continuous makes sure that the whole line is the whole line is in the same conduit, and I think it's much cleaner, much nicer. Now what I'm gonna do is just I'm gonna set the height of each pipe, because right now they are sagging because the pipe is a little bit flexible, so it's connected on both ends, and now the pipe is doing like this. So I will just lift it up where I need in order to have a continuous slope, and then fill it with sand.
So after a few days connecting the pipes and filling everything back on, we have all the orange pipes running through the connection boxes and everything covered. But I realized something important. I didn't want stagnant water sitting in the box underneath the pipe. So to fix that, I created a concrete base around the pipes inside the boxes. This way any water or debris or waste that reaches the box is guided straight into the orange pipes, keeping everything flowing smoothly. But you might be wondering, Pepe, the pipes are actually closed off? And yes, they were. That's why I had to bring out the multi-tool and carefully cut openings in the pipes to let the water and the waste flow inside properly. Now this next part is for the people who love details done right. I could have just closed the lids and call it a day, but I went on one step further. I painted every surface inside the boxes and sealed all the pipes connections with liquid MS paint. Basically a liquid waterproofing membrane. It was a new product for me and is actually very good. This does three things. It seals the concrete and pipe joints to prevent leaks. It protects everything from moisture damage, and also, very importantly, it smooths out the surface to stop paper and debris from getting stuck inside the boxes. It might seem like an overkill again, but for me doing it right the first time is what it counts. And now the septic tank. This was a major task on its own, and it was a very heavy and big tank, and a very expensive one also. So I had to be very careful with it to avoid breaking it during the installation. But as some as you know by now, I am not the best when it comes to handling heavy loads, and let's just say things got a little bit complicated.